Reef Beef is a place where we talk about reef related things in a manner in which we do at trade shows, just very frankly and openly. And sometimes we might curse just because we're talking, just like two humans talk. And but we don't do it egregiously. So if you don't like cuss words, like be careful with that, because maybe we do, maybe we don't.
And
Okay.
if you do like cuss words, maybe we do, maybe we don't. We're
Yeah.
teases.
Who knows? But this is Reef Beef, and welcome in.
My name is Richard,
My name is Ben.
and today on a very, very, very special episode of Reef Beef, we're going to talk about the Reef Retreat conference that Ben and I came back from this week. And the biggest story, besides the conference being awesome, is Ben got locked out of his room while he was naked and had to stand in a towel, all wet, until somebody rescued him so he could come to the talks. This show is sponsored by
SaltwaterAquarium.com
Champion Lighting and Supply.
and powered by PolypLab.
This is Reef Beef. Benjamin!
Richard Men.
Benjamin, you're home. You got
Yes.
home.
This is about 1 week after Reef Retreat. And man, where do we even start?
Let's start.
First off, I should say I thought it was a home run.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for saying that the show is a home run. That's what we hoped. Let's tell everybody what it was in case they don't know what it was. Why don't you tell us? Let's see.
Yeah.
I'm an organizer of the event and you're not. So let's see what you say, because that might be more interesting.
So many people were phrasing it like it was, the successor to Macna. Now, I've been to a lot of Macnas, but for me, like knowing the history of Macnas, this is maybe like back to basics is what it felt like to me. This just felt like what I imagined maybe the first 10 Macnas were like, stripped down. And for me, the biggest thing was like, this was not about commerce. This trade show was not about commerce. It was about education. And it was run differently than a Macna. Now that I'm on this side of Reef Retreat, I sort of feel not comfortable saying that it's the successor to Macna. I feel like it's something different.
Well, it's not really a successor to Macna, but it was, the idea behind it was to fill a void that left when Macna left, which was the education side. We're here for education. The talks are not an added on thing. It's a conference more than it is a show. And that was intentional. And it was also intentional to keep it small. And it was also intentional to make it like a shared experience. So we really wanted everyone to be doing everything together, from eating to, partying after the show or after the conference, to being at the talks all at the same time. It's something different, because that's what me and Andy, and then other people joined on too. Randy Donowitz, Andy Ryan, Lena Fitzgerald, Matt Peterson. I know I'm forgetting Sanjay Joshi, Rob Mouget. Those were most of the people who were making it go. And we all kind of had the same idea of that. We wanted it to be intimate. We wanted it to be immersive. We wanted it to be educational, and we wanted it to be face to face with people. So you had to talk to people. So the idea was that, it's a small, we could only do 150 people this year, including sponsors. And we'd have some sponsors, and they would have a table space where they could talk to people between lectures or when there was free time. It was not about a sales floor. We wanted the sponsors to come to the talks. All the talks would be in one room. Everyone would be doing it as one group. We're staying at the dorms, which is not, highfalutin kind of accommodations, but that wasn't the point. The point is not to have highfalutin accommodations. The point is you have a place to keep your stuff and sleep, because the rest of the time you're hanging out with these people. It's not about, bring your wife and have your wife and family do something exciting. This is a retreat. This is for the people who are interested. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And we were able to get sponsorship pretty quickly, and Reef Beef was one of the sponsors. And then we made the show go, and we were scared that it wasn't going to have enough people. And then so we said, hey, we started giving out some scholarships to some people. And then in the last, week before registration closed, the 2 weeks before, we sold out. We had no more spaces left. So that's the story behind the show. So the thing, I mean, it's what started Reef Beef, right? Reef
Yeah.
Beef is, we like hanging out with people we like to talk about reef stuff. And so we have some talks, and then you hang out with people who are as into reef keeping as you are, and you talk the talk. And it was great. There were people up till 4 a.m. doing all kinds of reef talk, and talking with people they don't normally see in person. There's a group of people, maintenance people, and that I know you guys had a meeting,
Yeah.
or at dinner, or y'all sat together, and
Yeah, we just sort of, yeah, it sort of happened organically. It was,
yeah, and the coral spawners did that too. And so there was all kinds of opportunity to talk about whatever you were interested in, plus the talks. So then
let me,
we were scared, and then it happened, and it was pretty clear that it was working. So we're pretty pleased.
I was gonna say, let me go, because that sounds like I'm arrogant saying this, but I'm like, let me continue with like my viewpoint, because so you think it's
Sure.
funny, like people would say like, oh, if it's reef beef, like Ben knew a lot about it, but no, I didn't really. Like this was Richard's like organizational skills with what he had done with Macna. And it's not like I was intentionally kept in the dark about it, but it just wasn't, I wasn't part of that structure. So for me, in a way, that was fun, because like I went into this like not knowing what to expect, but at the same time missing Macna, or whatever I thought Macna was, and having high hopes for it, but feeling not skeptical, but like, okay, because so many trade shows. So anyways, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, or like make this necessarily like PC. Like these, I'm gonna give you my raw, like my experiences with doing this.
Spread those little polyps and feed.
SaltwaterAquarium.com has been part of this show since before it was a show. We like SaltwaterAquarium.com because they sell a lot of stuff. And why else, Ben?
Because they have 3 different distribution points in the continental United States, and they get stuff to you fast.
And they'll help you if you text them, and they've got a form for you to go look at, and they've got all kinds of great products. SaltwaterAquarium.com.
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 Saltwater dot
Aquarium.com.
saltwateraquarium.com.
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 Oh, SaltwaterAquarium.com.
SaltwaterAquarium.com.
Yeah, SaltwaterAquarium.com.
Yeah.
Spread those little polyps and feed.
So, like when I first looked at it, when I signed up, I was like, well, this is weird, because like it was in a university, and I saw there was no like direct line from where I was at in Houston. Like I had to make a connecting flight from DC then to Providence. And then I saw from Providence, it was like, oh crap, that's kind of a crappy little Uber drive from there to the thing. Now you could say that like, this was all me. Maybe I didn't plan it out great, because I wanted to get some work done that day. So I sort of left out later in the day. I guess I should have thought about it, because then when you have a connecting flight, that can make it a little rough. And so
Yeah.
I end up getting there like really late.
Yeah. That's all you. And also, I think you didn't read the emails that said what to do. And,
Yeah.
and the reason why I think that is because at midnight you were calling me saying, I'm getting in at 3 o'clock. I don't know where to go. And I said, did you read the email and arrange for a pickup? And you said, I think I got the email. So yeah, so I'm going to lay that at your feet. Now,
I sort of,
that's
go ahead.
that said, we tried as well as we could to get the emails out to people and things like that. And no matter what you do, people sometimes don't read the stuff, and we're prepared much better for that kind of thing next year.
There was also some signs put out on campus, Andy said, and then Andy said, like, the school had some sort of issue with it, and they picked them up, the signs.
Yeah, and also we changed last minute, which was a good thing. We changed the venue of where the speakers were, so there was a little bit of confusion there. It was a good thing we changed it because that courtroom is freaking awesome.
Oh yeah. But
Um,
but so I get there late, and I knew we had been talking, I'd seen, it was dorm rooms, this or that.
yeah.
I never stayed in a dorm room. I mean, I know what I thought was a dorm room, but I get in late, and again, I'm doing this raw. Like I get in late and I go in the room and I was a little bit like, what the fuck? Now you got to understand too. I grew up poor. I'm not a fancy dude. Like, I'm not expecting a thing, but I was like, what the crap? Because there was like a plastic bag with like towels and a bed thing, and it was like straight up looked like a penitentiary room. And that was just my initial thought. But the funny thing is that I don't know who else had this experience, but like the beds were fine. I slept fine on them.
Oh man,
But then
the
here's
beds.
the other thing: you don't sleep much at those things. Why would you go to your room
Well,
for
this was the thing I always had when they were doing events, when we were planning events like a Macna or a smaller event. It was like, oh, let's do it like in Vegas so people can do other things. And I was always like, dude, you go to the event for the event. If you want to go to Vegas to go to Vegas,
go to
go to
Vegas?
Vegas. It's so, but that's a total difference in the idea of we're just trying to get as many people to come to the show. Macna Vegas had 7,000 attendees,
Holy shit!
right? Um, so you're just trying to get people there anyway, but what we're trying to do is get the people who want to be at a show like the one we're doing. We're not trying to compete with any of the bigger shows that are doing whatever they're doing. That's fine. We're trying to offer something that a segment of the population wants.
The way the talks were done was fucking brilliant.
Thank you.
So they were done in three speakers, hour each, 3 hour blocks. Then we'd have a break for lunch. They had breakfast too catered. You got up and had breakfast. Then you all went to this common speaker room. Now, so my normal experience is you're on some big showroom floor, and your buddies, and you're like, oh, who you gonna see next? Oh yeah, at 11 I'm gonna go see this. And so that everyone reacts to stuff differently, but for me, that would during a normal convention, that sort of gives me anxiety. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
want to see Joe Wayulo talk. Like, I better not. I need to. And then I get engaged in like this, a conversation, and then oh shit, Joe. So the way this was done, there was no freaking, you know, floor. It was a tiny room with just booths of just from the sponsors. There wasn't any real big giant reason to go talk to. It wasn't like that sort of showroom. Everyone in the conference shows up. It was cool because at the last second, Andy changed it to the school's appellate court like mock-up. So it was a beautiful room that was total like amphitheater style with like the appellate court thing where like 12 people or chairs up at the front, but they had a podium. And it's cool. The chairs were sort of like floating where there were two chairs a piece were like on a
Yeah, it
common.
was really really comfortable, right? The
Yeah,
audience
yeah, it wasn't
chairs.
bad at all, which was good because when they started the talking blocks, like I don't know how some people would take that, but if you go there for the education, so you go there for the talks, you're sort of in that room because the talks are back to back to back. You got enough time to go run to the bathroom, but it's like 3 straight hours of lecture, three different talks. The other thing that it didn't always go like this, but a lot of them did. I thought it was cool. I don't know if Andy or whoever had designed it like this, but at least the first block of talks were like this. It felt like you started off at a 30,000-foot view, and then the next talk went in a little more specifically, where and then as the last talk hit very specifically towards our industry.
Yeah, we thought that we thought about how the talks were going to go and why they were in what order, and that's the whole thing. Our whole job was to make it so the talks made some kind of sense and were compelling. So because you're jumping around like a crazy man.
Yeah.
I want to jump back. Is there any? Let's talk more about the. Oh, I guess we don't have to do that. I guess I'm wrong. We can get back to that later. I was going to say let's get back to the accommodations, but we can jump to that later after the first day. I'm sorry, I just saw a way through.
No, we could jump a little bit because I get in late and I crash on the bed, wake up. It was sort of cool because it has like a come to. It's funny there's like layers of doors you had to go through to get to your door. So you had a magnetic key, but you got to go through like 3 or 4 magnetic doors from the building to the compound to the little dorm space to your own room. So I felt sort of safe like that. Like what you'd have to get through a door, and then we had like a common kitchen, common toilets,
Yeah.
and a common
So how
shower.
most of the rooms worked was we call them pods. So there's 6 sleeping places in with one common door to the hallway. And in there's one kitchen and 3 or 4 bathrooms and 2 or 3 showers.
Mhm.
So you kind of it's like a mini community within the community. And then there were some that were apartments that were available as well. I didn't actually see anything else. Um, and the whole idea was, first of all, we wanted it to be affordable, right? We didn't want it to be free, but it was affordable. And what we mean by that is, it's not $10 to come and walk the show floor because there is no show floor. And we didn't want people just showing up and, it was about the shared experience of the weekend. It's not like come for one day. We prefer people be there for the whole thing. And so, um, the idea was Andy's place was inexpensive. And so what you were paying for was like $500 for the weekend. And that's Friday and Saturday night. And that's all your meals and everything else that was happening Friday and Saturday night. Um, there was also, you could extend Sunday, which we recommended people do because flying out Sunday night was hard. And
Yeah.
you could even get there Friday. So, for that amount of money, just going to another show and just getting a hotel at a regular hotel is $200 a night. If you need to get
Yeah.
3 hotel rooms, you know, 3 days of hotel room, that's $600 plus $100 to go to the show, plus your own food. So I think if you do the math, it's kind of affordable. And, yeah, it was in Providence, Rhode Island, which is a little bit harder to get to, but what are you going to do about that? Either, we figured people would come or they wouldn't come. We would find out. The idea was to do it as inexpensively as possible and as easy as possible without overloading the people running the thing. And then we'll
It
see what happens next year and the year after.
it wasn't even Providence. What was that town? Started with a W.
I don't remember. You've got the thing right there.
Yeah, let me see real quick. Does it say? I mean, it was
Bristol. We were in
Bristol,
Bristol.
Bristol, Rhode Island.
Yeah, near
So
Providence.
yeah, one thing I want to say is like driving in. It's funny, like everyone knows, I'm from Texas, and I do get to travel a little bit here and there, but I've never been to Rhode Island, and and it's not like we spent much. You and me and some other people went to the grocery store at one point,
Yeah,
which is another cool thing besides the food that you've paid for. Like you have a refrigerator in your room, so if you want to go to the grocery store and get some snacks, that's what we did. But that town to me was so cool. It's like
yeah,
my kids have watched like R.L. Stein and those like spooky movies for kids, and that I realized that show is probably set in New England somewhere because I thought these real old looking houses, that like historical looking houses. I just had a good feeling of the town. I don't know about the
yeah,
people, but the town was sort of looked like a R.L. Stein, like a. It looks
yeah.
like it'd be fun during Halloween.
It was the whole place was cool. Oh, Andy Ryan said there is a street in there that goes crazy on Halloween. I
Oh,
I flew into New York the week before, and we went to see Randy Donowitz, and then went to see Andrew Sandler, and then went to see Joe Waiulo, and then went to Mystic Aquarium, and then went somewhere else. Had to change rental cars because it broke.
uh-oh.
Um, did we go somewhere else after Mystic? Oh, we went to the high school. Oh my God, the Marine Magnet High School,
Oh wow.
run by Eric. I'm going to get his name wrong. Damn it, Eric. That was awesome. Uh, and then we went to the show, and then after the show, I went to Woods Hole,
Oh, cool.
the MBL and met up with Brett Grassi and saw everything that they're doing with cephalopods.
Oh, cool.
And then went to back to Randy's and then went to a baseball game. I went to a baseball
Yeah,
game.
I saw that. I was
That's-
like, why are you sportsing?
That's dumb. And
Did
then
you
flew,
root for the home team?
there was some people in stripes and some people not in stripes. I think the stripes were the home team.
And you cheered when they scored a goal?
Yeah, well, it was easy because only one team scored any points.
Oh, that makes it
So
easier.
I could just cheer for them. I didn't have to split my cheers up.
But generally at a sportsing event, you can just holler and no one thinks you're crazy.
Yeah. So for Reef Retreat, if you want to coming early or staying late, you can drive around New England and see what there is to see. It's a cool place.
Spread those little polyps and feed.
This podcast is powered by PolypLab.
And PolypLab, Phil Gilbert was at Reef Retreat, and we mixed it up with him.
He was throwing out sweatshirts like they were nothing.
He was just right out of his endless bag
of sweatshirts
of PolypLab.
PolypLab.
The biggest thing about PolypLab is your polyps always need a lab, and they supply that for you.
PolypLab.
PolypLab. You know what's funny is our other two sponsors, they sell PolypLab items.
PolypLab.
Teacher.
PolypLab.
Can I go PolypLab?
PolypLab.
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 PolypLab. PolypLab.
Powered by
PolypLab.
The end.
Spread those little polyps and feed.
Let me tell you what one of the major home runs ended up being that I reflected on once I came home. So all the conventions that I go to, obviously there's an after party, and that's like we always say, that's the impetus of what Reef Beef is that, convention showroom after party. But what made this the best after party situation I have been to in any aquarium related convention, and I didn't think about it before experiencing it, we had that whole dorm building. It was only us. There was no one to bother or get mad at. You and me and a bunch of other people went to another convention not too long ago, and the people at the bar sort of like yelled at us. It went at 2 a.m. and this and that. We want to stay up as late as we want and yell about reef related stuff. And it was so crazy. It was just, we owned the building. There was no one else there besides us. We could be as loud as we wanted to and stay up as late as we wanted to as well.
Yeah. And, I said, everyone go to the common room on floor 2. And some people didn't get that message. A couple of people were like, I wish I would have known. So we'll make sure that that's more obvious next year as well, that the whole point is to hang out, right? So there's that common room, and there's a quiet common room just off that common room, so it doesn't have to get crazy. And we were outside, and if people wanted to go, get inebriated outside, there was these little gazebos, and everyone was all the attendees were so kind and inclusive. It was like, come on, we're going to do this. Where are we going? Come on, follow us, or I'll wait with you. There was just, the vibe was so delicious. And it's, the community. I mean, that's one of the things I heard a lot of people going, I love the community. And it's so different in person. And we also got a lot of people who were saying, are you going to record the talks? And we said, no, we're not going to record the talks because the talks are part of the experience, and we want people to be in the experience. We're at our next meeting, we're going to talk about, maybe we record the talks and release them 6 months later or not. We have to figure that out, but it's like, no, it's for the people who are there, and you get a different flavor of talk when it's not being recorded and it's for people at the conference. Mm-hmm. You get balder stuff. You get more to the point. So I think that's cool. And I understand the argument about wanting to record them for other people. So we'll figure that out. I mean, mine's
People get
record.
grumbly about that. I don't know if it's like, you know, I don't agree with them, but some people like act like it was like an elitist thing. But that's sort of not fair because it was like a cool experience. And it's like, if you want to experience it, like try to make it to there.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you mean by elitist. We had 150 total seats that we could fill this year. That includes sponsors and who they bring. So we didn't have a huge, we're elitist almost by definition because
Yeah.
there's only 150 spaces. Next year there may be more. We're going to figure that out. But
And that's funny
that's
because
how
just
it is.
people get FOMO.
Yeah,
And that's like I'm not saying like I'm not taking anybody out from it, but I'm just saying like if you get FOMO, you get FOMO. Like no one can do anything about that.
yeah. We're not. The only reason we're saying no is because of the space that we have. If there is also a question of how big can it get before it turns into something else. It's the same thing
Which
it's the same thing we talk about reef beef. How much do we want to push reef beef to be bigger non-organically? But to do that, it needs to become something other than what it is. We need
I
more infrastructure. We need more money. We need more people to do things. And, that can screw us up because all of a sudden then we're making choices based on growth rather than choices based on what the event or
what's
what reef beef is.
it was a difficult thing to not to wrap your head around, but to be comfortable with. Smaller things are more fun, and then when you do it, you're like, oh, there's some weird need where we're like, it needs to be bigger, and you make it bigger. And there's a lot of things that remind me of this, like this town in Texas called Austin. When I was much younger, Austin used to be this super cool place. And I've heard watching stuff about San Francisco. Like San Francisco went through the same thing a long time ago. Like when it was smaller, it was quirkier, and it was this or that, and then it sort of
Yeah,
got taken over by IT. Well, this thing has been going on to Austin now for a couple decades. It's like all I'm trying to, maybe I'm meandering a little bit, but it's like when something's smaller, like I don't know why we have to make something bigger and then it loses its soul after a while and turns into a
exactly.
commercial abomination.
Exactly. And we don't want to do that with Reef Beef or with Reef Retreat. And that's part of the thing that drives the big shows and why there was always kind of at Magna's, there's people who were there for the talks and people who were there for the show floor, and there was some mixing, but those two things always competed with each other. Vendors were grumpy because during talks, if the person giving the talk was popular, 500 people leave the
Died.
show
Yeah.
floor to go to the talk and it empties out, and that made vendors grumpy. And people who were there for the talks are like, yeah, but people aren't filling up the talks to make the talk better because they're at the show floor.
Yeah.
And there was always that tension between the two. And there was always the idea that, well, we needed the show floor to pay for the talks. And that's what Magna turned into. And that makes total sense. But when we're able to reinvent the whole thing and, what do we want out of a show? We used scientific conferences more as the model, and smaller scientific conferences, and a little bit the regional aquatics workshop for public aquariums. And how do those things work? Those get funded by people paying for them. The sponsors helped a whole lot. So what did the sponsorship money do? The sponsorship money paid for a bunch of stuff to help keep it affordable and cheap. I mean, we hit the right number of people, attendees. So I think we broke even. But we built the sponsorship into lowering costs. So it was all about, all the money goes to Roger Williams University, so it's all tax deductible, and it goes to Andy Ryan's wet lab there, and we're fine for profits. They put on the show, they should get something, right? And they hosted us, but we're not trying to make a lot of money. Nobody in the organization side of it got paid anything. That could change in the future, but I don't think any of us care. We just want the show that we want. And I tell you, man, putting this show together was so dreamy. It was like, anybody had an idea. If somebody really believed an idea, everyone else went, okay, we should do that. Like Andy said, we should have this cruise at the end. And
Oh,
in my head, I'm like, that's a dumb idea, but Andy likes it. We should do it because no skin off. I don't have to fight Andy about
yeah.
this stupid thing. And it turned out to be freaking awesome.
I signed up for that, and of course, as you know, I did that. And again, I've never been to New England, and this was like that was so much fun. As a matter of fact, I was sort of mad when the it was an 80-foot sailboat. I was mad when it turned around. I wanted it to be
Right.
longer, but it was so cool. Like we went along, I think it's called Narragansett Bay, but and it came out of Newport. So when a bus took us all to like historical Newport, there it looked like something from the 1800s or 1700s, like a little town around these docks. And I know that was maybe a little touristy, but it was like sort of comfortable looking there. And then they brought all this wine and these boxed sandwich lunches on this 80-foot sailboat. And man, it was a little packed, so it wasn't easy to move around, but it was just like going out on the deck of the sailboat, and there was had a whole crew that sort of went out and then came back in. But we're all talking about whatever and drinking wine and
Yeah. It was another way to bring people together. So it was awesome. So we'll probably do that again on Sunday if we do next year, which it looks like we are. And probably do something on Thursday night as well. There's talk maybe we could do a workshop on Friday, get more people there earlier or on Monday. We'll see. We don't want to make it too crazy because we want it to work again. So, and again, we're not it's not for everybody and not everyone can go because there's limited spaces um and you have to have the time to be able to take off work and get to Rhode Island and
yeah.
um but not everything's for everyone, which is the other thing we don't remember. But I love not being growth. It's so much easier to be in the world. Just like this is the thing we like to do. We're making enough to keep it going. Same with Reef Beef. We don't need, this conference comes along and Reef Beef can support it and make it happen, and I can devote time to make it go. And it just seems like, wow, this is a great way to be in the world. We're doing good things.
Spread those little polyps and feed.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Champion.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Champion Lighting, they do lighting, but they have a whole bunch of supplies.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Champion Crunkle Todd and Supply.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Champion Lighting and Supply has a dealer website where you can buy wholesale from them. So don't forget about that about Champion Lighting and Supply.
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 Champion Lighting and also Supply.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Richard.
Yeah.
Champion Lighting and Supply.
Spread those little polyps and feed.
So I had an epiphany after the show in that this is sort of weird, but I was so pissed when Macna died because no offense to the other shows, but some of them are smaller than I want them to be. Some of them aren't as well attended as I want them to be. Some of them are too pointed at commercialism than I want them to be. And I thought Macna was the end all be all, but I'm honestly saying that Reef Retreat, until I experienced this Reef Retreat, like Reef Retreat is actually what I wanted a Macna to be. I don't mind that there's a showroom floor with tons of booths and all that and this and that, but I don't know. It helped me put a exclamation point on the feeling of that. I don't really want that commercialization if I could help. So I want the community. I want to talk to my friends and I want to learn something in a talk.
Yeah. And I did go see all the sponsors. We're very happy just to have people know that they were sponsors. I know we hooked some people up with some places already. They were like, where can I get this for spawning? It's like, talk to Quality. They're here, and Hannah was there. So you could go look at all the Hannah eggs and talk to them. But the sponsor, Champion Lighting was there. They had a
Mm.
booth. Nobody was selling anything.
No.
We had a booth with stickers and Jason's cookies on them.
Yeah.
And um, and Reef Aquarium Design, Boyd Enterprises had a booth showing what they do. And um, and some of the sponsors gave a little 10-minute talk in there somewhere. But the sponsors seemed really excited to be able to go and attend the talks.
Yeah.
So the talk block would end, sponsors would go to their tables, and then everyone would come out on the way to the next to dinner or go back to the rooms or whatever and chat with the sponsors if they wanted to. And the sponsors looked like they got a lot of traffic and were really happy. So it's a different beast. It's a face-to-face meeting, which we've forgotten about. It's like a local club meeting, except it's a national club meeting. And there's something so different about talking to people face to face. It's so
I
great.
don't know. It's what we've been missing for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And since the way y'all set it up, like what I'm saying is like you didn't scramble around. Well, I because I'm the ADHD dipshit. Like I scrambled around because sometimes where we were staying in the dorms, it was like, I was always trying to remember like where's the wet lab? But it's not like the campus was so huge. Like, you could run, but and then I was
Yeah.
trying to remember like where the room was where the talks were a couple times, but it wasn't that difficult.
Yeah. We'll make that a lot clearer. We'll do better signage next time and better announcements. Not that anything was bad, which is the thing. And we've started getting the surveys back, and the surveys really good responses and really good tiny tweaks to make things better. And we want to make things better.
Let
So
me let me ask you this, since you're part of it like that.
yes,
It's
Ben.
like it's funny. Like you said, you were worried for a little bit because it's like the tickets were going slow at first. But this, honestly, Richard, this makes sense to me because since it was a new thing and people like, I don't know. And then it's funny, it takes like friends saying, like, oh, are you going? It's like, well, I'm not sure. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
Randy Donowitz is going, Richard's going. Oh, okay, well, okay. So it would snowball like exponentially towards the end once
Yeah.
people see who's going, and then it would build up so rapidly and like the door shuts because it could only hold so much. Like my question then is like, if our excitement about this builds and like more people want to show up, like, because that's the thing, like I say, it's weird, I don't really, I want it to be like more a lot of my friends didn't come, but a lot of my friends were also there. But
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't want it to be like a giant thing, or like even to move venues. Like I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you this, if it happens next year, which and I'm 98% sure it is, it's going to be the same venue and the same speaker room. It's
Mhm.
going to be the same next year with tweaks. But remember also, no one's getting paid to make it happen. Um, so we want it not to be stressful and a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
So that means if we can sell all the tickets early, I mean, the thing that was stressful for the organizers was, are we going to have enough people?
Mhm.
So if next year, if we announce in, we open ticket sales in September, for the next June, and we sell out by November,
Then that's less of a
we're,
headache.
we're all good. Then we can
There'll
just
be,
concentrate on making it good, not about making it happen.
or like I think what's scary, not like I know, but like if you're running a Magna, like it's scary as it scales. Like who would know 7,000 people would be there? And then you
Yeah.
have to like call the hotel and like make different. If you're running the Magna, like make different arrangements, and that would give me a heart attack. I couldn't.
Yeah. So we'll
So
see
if
what
it's more
happens.
like of a known quantity, you can
Yeah.
just concentrate on what's important.
And we'll see what happens, next year, and we'll see what happens the year after that. And there may be a desire to scale it up that might make some kind of sense depending on the speaker room. I mean, if they have a speaker room, I think they're building a new one. If they have an events room that holds 500 people in the audience, there's an argument that maybe we could go up to that much, but that won't be ready for another couple years anyway. And we just want round two to go again.
I
And
wanted to be, I want to go again. I'm just saying, like it was perfect for me, I thought.
yeah,
And I didn't
excellent.
say, I didn't say much about the food because as I always say, I'm a type 2 diabetic, so I can be picky about the food. The food was great. There was tons of choices
Great.
for me, and I wasn't worried. Anything I need filled in, I just went back to the dorm room and I had like carrots. Some people were laughing because I had a bag of green beans. I was just trying to be healthy, and I was offering everyone green beans. And like, what the fuck are you eating green beans for? And it's just like, well,
Yeah.
but yeah, that like one of the dinners they had like nice like roast beef that was awesome. They had like veggie wraps. There's tons of fruits and vegetables. Like if you have some sort of dietary thing, like there was tons of options. There was zero problems, and the taste of the food was great. I was happy
Yeah.
with that
And if
too.
you didn't like it, there's grocery stores really close. You go get whatever you want. We'll make sure people know, we stopped and got snacks on Friday, because I knew what was going on. Um, I think one of the sponsors, two of the sponsors have already asked to um, make sure there's food and drink and snacks at the after party each
Oh, okay.
night. Um,
We
so
had people run and bring stuff in
yeah, but
because it is a university campus. There's no, if you want beer, you have to have gone out into the town and
yeah.
brought it. Yeah.
So at least one or two of the sponsors have said they want to do that. It's us
Oh,
and Champion Lighting.
yeah.
It's Reef Beef and Champion Lighting.
Yeah, yeah.
Todd will probably pick up all the shit, at a Costco or something on his way in, and then
Yeah.
we'll have it, and it won't be anybody running around to get extra unless people want something specific. And we went to a liquor store downtown, Mr. T's, who was from the Azores.
Pity the fool.
It was pretty bizarre. But yeah, so I want to I don't want to go anywhere usually once I get to a thing. So if I don't have to leave campus,
The
I'm
town was
thrilled.
easy to navigate, though. It's really sort of just one long road.
Yeah, and the campus was super easy too. Like the second day was like, oh, there's just there and there. It's like
Yeah.
straight and then right. That's it. Um, so yeah, I thought it was pretty great. And oh no, I have to make my own bed. Some people that'll make people upset and they won't come. And we understand that. We're not
But there
trying
was
to
some
reach everyone.
staff there. It's not a damn hotel, but there was some like if I needed a towel, there was some people that
Yeah.
like okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it was embarrassing. The like second day, leave it to me. I fucking locked myself out of my room.
And you were naked after your shower. You couldn't get back in your room.
Well, I left my shoes, and the damnedest thing was I left my phone, my key card, and my shoes in there because I was going to take a shower. I was going to take a shower and I had all my stuff and I heard click and I turned, I was staring at the door and I was like, son of a bitch. Right at that second, I didn't know, but in our pod was Mark Levinson and he came
Yeah.
out. He goes, hey man. And I was like, I just locked myself out of my fucking room. And he's like, I'll go. And he's like, I'll shout to the moon until someone comes over here. So a security guard came in after a little bit and got
You
me.
know who he shouted to?
Who?
Fucking me.
Hey, your
Again.
dipshit
Again.
friend. Your dipshit friend.
And what did I tell you on Friday night? Don't lock yourself out
No.
of your room.
Dude, this is Ben Johnson. If you put me, here's the deal. If you give me a magnetic card and you put me behind 3 doors for 2 days, I will at some point lock myself out.
Well, we'll get a lanyard and you'll just wear it
Yes.
around your neck.
That's
next
probably
year.
the go-to.
That was really funny. And then we called Lena.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, I'm calling security. And then I called Lena because I had to give my talk is when you locked yourself out.
I know I
So I
felt
was like, you
shitty because
motherfucker, you're
Yes.
talking to me while I'm getting ready. But it was funny. The whole thing was funny. And then you were there. So it was fine.
no, it's funny because I ran because I was like, oh shit, Richard was the first one talking. I was like, if I don't show up to that, I look like a dipshit. And man, I was like sprinting through this campus. And then I get there and I had like 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But you
So-
had made an announcement making fun of me.
I told everyone that you were naked and
Yes.
locked out of your room and you were wet because that made me very happy.
Naked and wet.
Wet. So on Friday night we had like a get together and then an official get together and then we all went back to the second floor. And Saturday night we had a dinner and a get together. So there was all kinds of ways to interact. It's just very cool. Even with that, even with the limited amount of people, I didn't get to spend enough time with everybody, but I was organizing things. So
I would say I got to talk to some people that I had seen for so many Macnas and always said hi, and they're on my Facebook. But since there was less people and it wasn't a venue where everyone was running around, I got to have some conversations I'd been meaning to have for a long time.
Yeah, and there were some new people. I met a bunch of people from New England Aquarium, which we went to. That's what we went to on Tuesday um MBI at Woods Hole. And they were great. And boy, New England Aquarium looks good.
Really?
Oh man, they just not Susie. I keep calling her Susie, but that's not her name. Summer. Summer there, they just redid a tank and it's freaking awesome. And I cannot wait to see it grown in next year.
How far away was it from the venue?
That was about 40 minutes.
Okay.
So I'm sure next year we will see if we can arrange, Monday after, go to, fly out at Monday afternoon, go to a tour at the New England Aquarium. Maybe we'll do it the other way. Maybe we'll rent a bus and all meet in New York and drive up and go to Sandler and go to Joe and Mystic and go to Eric's place at the school. But we'll see how all that goes. Before we get into, let's talk about the talks, because we're going to talk about them. What else do you want to say? Oh, yeah, go.
No, I want to get to talk about the talk.
We honored Terry Siegel. Terry Siegel died about a week before the show.
The OG of OGs.
Yeah, he instrumental in almost every original media output for the hobby.
C-Scope, right?
Was it C-Scope? Aquarium Frontiers for sure.
Aquarium Frontiers.
Advanced Aquarist. Yeah, so it's sad that he's gone. What else?
Wasn't he like a founding member of that, what they call like the New York Mafia?
Yeah, the Reef Mafia for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And everyone who knew Terry well wore a pin. So if you wanted to talk, they were giving out buttons too, all kinds of buttons, and stickers. But so it was nice because if you saw someone with a Terry button, you could go tell me something about Terry I didn't know.
And they gave me a button that said, I guess Pratt Institute made it. It said, Richard is a better host. And I was like, wait. And I looked on your shirt and you said one that said Ben was a better host.
Yeah, that one then broke and then I left it. I thought, what else happened? Oh, we gave, Reef Beef gave out Aquarist of the Year award.
Yeah.
We talked about doing it for Reef Retreat, so it might be different next year, but we started getting into the weeds about how do we pick. And I just kind of went, fuck it, I'll do it. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. And so we gave awards to Sasha.
Salem.
Sasha did all the graphics for the show.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make Sasha point out Sasha. Lena, who did almost all of the day-to-day making sure things were going to work.
She did a great job there.
Worked so hard and did such a great job and was so happy the whole time that we gave Lena an award. We gave we gave Sanjay an award. Because it was his birthday and also he was sad because of what happened to his tank.
Killed his tank.
I think I called it the loser award.
Yes.
Because I'm a jackass. And these awards, this took 5 minutes in between a couple of talks, which I also thought was good because it shifted gears. It wasn't just like talks all day. And then we gave out Salem got a Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah.
And then the Aquarist of the Year award went to Kevin Erickson.
Yeah.
And if you don't know Kevin Erickson was in charge of MACNAs for over a decade, is directly responsible for the education of 50,000 hobbyists.
Man, that was well deserved, I think, too, because as running MACNAs, that would be way too awkward for him to ever have gotten that award, and it was like way overdue. I think that was a cool thing.
So I'm thrilled to give the Aquarist of the Year, and the awards were prayer candles that Snow Buddy made. I hope that's in focus. I can't tell.
A little bit.
There we go.
Like some Virgin Mary me and your.
This is the Reef Beef candle, which will be available soon. It's the Reef Beef prayer candle, and that's Ben and me. Maybe we'll put up an image of this. But we made
that during tank maintenance. You set it near your tank and you light it while you're doing maintenance.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna have a whole. We got Sanjay's one, although I got to get permission to distribute them. We're gonna have a whole host. I want to have behind me 15 candles of all the Reef Saints that I want to keep my tank healthy.
Absolutely, that's hilarious.
All right, so talks. Should we go with talks?
Yeah.
Talks started at 9 a.m. They will not start at 9 a.m. If we do this again, they will start at 10 a.m.
Okay. Yeah. Cause Lord, man, I always do this because I'm always one of the partiers, but like I would generally stay up till like 3 in the morning, and I made it to everything on time, but it was a little brutal.
It was, yeah, it was a little bit brutal. If you did that. So we're going to start them earlier then, because why wouldn't you do that? I mean, later.
Todd was making fun of you because he was like, Richard, help put this thing together. Why'd he put himself at 9 a.m.?
Oh, you want to know why? I can
Why?
tell you why. There are reasons why. First of all, I want to point out that I told the committee, the council, uh, that there is, I don't, they just put my name on the speaker list when we were talking about speakers originally.
Yeah.
And as it was coming closer, I was like, I do not have to speak at this. And they
Yeah.
were like, yeah, you do. So it was like I wanted out of speaking, and they made me speak. But the reason I went at 9 is because, like you said before, we were um, we were arranging the talks so they made some kind of sense.
Uh-huh.
So Sunday morning was the coral spawning kind of talk.
Oh,
And
okay.
I was going to talk about how to do it in your house, using stuff you already own. And then Nicole Fogarty was going to talk about research, how the ex situ coral spawning she's using for research. And then Kevin Erickson was going to talk about doing it at scale
Oh, that's right.
to support the world. And so we were looking at, originally, I did not have myself at 9 o'clock. I had myself third on
Yeah.
that. And then looking at it, it was like, oh, think I will if I go first, I can set the stage for how coral spawning works and
No,
what
and
you need to do for it. And then Nicole can just talk about what she's doing because everyone already knows what coral spawning is. And then Kevin can build on that. So they made sense to move that way.
no, it did, because that was my impression on that as well. Because you were like, here's flying by the seat of your pants in your house. And then Nicole went on and it's like, this is how like like a learning institution is doing it. And then Kevin came in with Ames might be on the very cutting edge of,
Ames
it's
is
got to be, right?
uh, Jamie's doing great stuff too in his new role. I think it's called at Mars. But Ames, the Australian Institute of Marine Science, got $450 million a few years ago
Yeah.
to study this and do stuff about it. So the stuff Ames is doing is you know un just fantastic.
Well, yeah, and Kevin was showing the little ceramic things that they drop, and they want to be dropping like 1 million of them with like coral babies
Yeah,
on.
they're
Yeah, it's like
scaling it
at
all up.
scale. So
It's
that was
unbelievable.
that day at scale.
So on
Um,
Saturday we start. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, I was gonna say, so Saturday, like it really, Saturday was like about microbiome.
Yes.
So so those were like, it started off with Jen Bowen,
Yep, she's
and
great.
it was like about microbiome, but and if I can say, it was like holobionts and microbiomes itself, and it didn't, it was about that subject very specifically, and then not so much about necessarily talking about the corals themselves. It was just talking about microbiome.
Yeah, how did that work for you? Because we thought, let's set the stage, let's get everyone on the same page about microbiomes.
No, it
And so
made
that,
sense because that was at like 30,000 foot. Like if your day
yeah,
on Sunday was saying like, here you do it in your house and it goes to Ames.
yeah,
Saturday it was like, here's a subject of 30,000 foot. Now, and Jen did that one. And then Cody Sharp went in and she applied that microbiome to studies she was doing about corals. So it got in more specific.
yeah, yeah. So let's see. I'm looking at my notes. Cody's great too. They're working with a local coral and they want to see all kinds of stuff about it. So they're saying, does probiotics work? Does probiotics help the babies, the larvae? Um, can we inoculate coral larvae against disease? All kinds of cool stuff that they're doing in the lab right there at Roger Williams. So it's pretty cool.
Man, the quality of speakers I thought was great too, because I didn't know Jen or Cody, didn't know of them. I mean, these are like university professor, like postdoc,
Yeah, no,
like,
they're full on professors.
yeah, full on professors, and it's like I'd never heard of them before. But and I had to tell you too, both of them. You could tell they must do like scientific conferences all the time because these were like, for me, it seemed like professional level speakers.
Yeah. Well, we picked, this has always been the problem with speakers. You need somebody who is knowledgeable, right? You need somebody who has got something to say, and you need someone who can say it.
Yeah.
And finding all those three things can be difficult. And so we worked very hard on making sure we got people who could do all that. For
Yeah.
next year, we've got some ideas too about, having one session be, 3 or 4 10-minute hobbyist talks.
Okay.
And anybody can give a talk, and if you're nervous about talks, we'll
Okay.
coach you, we'll help you with your talk beforehand. But you got to have something to say, and you got to want to say it. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we did Jen, then we did Cody, and then we did Salem. And Salem was supposed to talk about the hobby and how it's looking at the microbiome, but he talked about something else.
For me, that it was just like a movie, if you will. Follow me here.
Okay.
Where it seemed like, in some movie where someone had like some crisis of consciousness, and they were going to give a speech in the movie, but then they're like, look, I'm actually going to talk about this, and like, and took it off. So I loved it. Of course, since we met Salem a couple years ago, now I'm friends with Sam. I love the dude. And but I get, while he was talking, like, and it is okay. So the direction that we're going with the earth, it's a jagged pill that is hard to swallow. It's not fun
Yep.
to understand this. And he was being short, to the point, and like, like he fielded a question after his talk, because he was just saying like, the earth's on fire, we're screwing it up if we don't do something about this, and it might even be too late even if we did something about it. He was hitting hard. And this has got to be the truth. These things are got to be the truth. So it's so weird because, in his talk, and I was thinking about it. Now I have to tell you, like, but no, like,
I'm waiting for you to finish any of the 7 thoughts you've had.
I know. But like, I'm not from the like postdoc university world. I'm not from, like, I don't know these things that Salem knows, coming from academia and all this and that. I just know what I see on television, or, listening to these things. I know that, coral biodiversity and the direction that the temperatures of the ocean is is going very badly. And it's like, you see all these like worst case scenarios, it's this, and best case scenario, it's this, and it seems really bleak, and we've got to do something. And it just feels like, just like my brain, that the cart is going in 50,000 different directions and is not going in a good direction.
Correct. And so he was talking about that. He said a couple things about, Reef Retreat, bringing the bridge of science and the hobby. He made some people grumpy because he was so harsh on academia, or it seemed harsh on academia, and it was out of the blue. So it was kind of, that's why people were like, what? And, academia does take time to do things right. And, is that bad or is that good? It just is, right? So hobbyists can do whatever they want whenever they want, right? But we also don't. That's why we don't have some of the connections to academia, because they have to do it right and we don't.
Well, no, I know that academia looks at us that way. Like, that's cool. They're running around doing the stuff that we can't just do on the fly, but they're really muddying the waters. Is that okay?
Well, some of them are, right? I mean,
Yeah.
shit. I just saw in one of the Reef rookie groups that I joined just to see what they're talking about. I saw a whole thing about how ginger and garlic cures ick. And I just, wanted to blow my head off, because it was like, we've done this. We've fucking done this. But
one hobbyist would say something like, just cut up corals and throw them in the ocean.
Right, right.
Academia's like, that's not how it's done.
Right. So we do need, and what good came out of it is some of the academics were rubbed the wrong way, and I understand that. And they said, but because I guess Salem said something about that, the academics won't work with us. And the academics said that, we work with aquarists all the time in public aquaria. And I got to say, hold on a sec. The people in this room are not public aquaria. We are home aquarists. It's a whole different, group of people. And, um, you know, even though I probably rather would have Salem have talked about what he said he was going to talk about, that I got to illuminate, that, oh no, when you're talking when a researcher is talking to someone in a public aquarium, that is a very different thing than talking to a hobbyist.
Yeah.
The advanced hobbyists, very different, do things very differently. So I thought that was good, because we do need academia to be able to look at accomplished home hobbyists who are doing it well and doing it right, and look at them. I mean, it is true that 10 or 15 years ago, there were like very few academics who could keep animals alive. It's better
Yeah,
now.
I've seen this my whole career, because I started doing this in '95 in stores. Well, then I ended up at a zoo, and I felt cocky when I got to the zoo, because they're like, "This is the Houston Zoo Aquarium," and I'm looking at their tanks, and I'm like, "These look like dog shit."
Yeah.
Like,
No.
you're proud of this?
Yeah.
But it's like, we're the zoo, and it's like, man, give me a millionaire and I'll run rings around any tank you have in here.
Yeah. So I mean, it's better. There's places now that, Andy's lab is amazing, and
Yeah.
there's other ones. But for the most part, every time I went to the first collecting trip I did on a public aquarium, we were with scientists, and the scientists were collecting everything to, just do a survey. And I said, "Can I take that?" And they were like, "Well, you can keep that alive." I was like, "We're really good at keeping things alive. That's what we do."
Yeah, but they're like putting them in formaldehyde.
Yeah. So, but the idea that, we could even try on some of the stuff didn't even occur to people 15 years ago.
Yeah.
15 years. Yeah. Only 15 years ago.
Yeah, and we were well keeping stuff alive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting.
I guess you could say this. I'm saying, like, was were any of the organizers upset by how Salem did that, or did Salem let anybody know?
No, it was fine, but we would have rather had the hobbies, how's the hobby dealing with the microbiome? We were, because that's what we were aiming for. It turned out it was fine, but it wasn't what
It
we
was
asked
funny,
for.
because then after that, then all those people came up and sat in those like judges chairs, and then it was a round table.
It was a panel with Eli, Salem, Cody, Jen, and Chris Drury. Chris Drury, who was on the show a little while ago, he knows about microbiome. So they were talking about stuff. The main note I got from there, it's like, should we be chasing numbers in the microbiome?
Yeah.
Because we don't know what all those numbers mean. And one of the examples I think Jen or Cody gave was, not all Vibrio is pathogenic.
Yeah.
So if you get Vibrio on your microbiome test, should you be worried? And it's like, well, they're not all pathogenic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the nuance, it's really tough to make it actionable. It's just another tool. So we need to look, again, it's trends, consistency and stuff. It's not specifics. Changes and shifts over time, not, oh my God, this one number is up.
And when all that was over, we went to eat lunch, and I was asking a lot of people what they thought of Salem's things. And there was, obviously I'm not going to name any names, but some people were, see, this is weird, because I was like, without having the knowledge, like, I know I'm all on board with what Salem's saying, but some people are like, oh, well, he didn't say it very diplomatically, or he could have said it this or that. But, I feel like the ocean is fucked up, and even if we start doing something concerted soon, it's still a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is, we know what to do, but it's not up to coral scientists to do it.
Yeah.
Coral scientists can do what coral scientists do. So we're trying to, make things heat tolerant. We're trying to figure out the spawning. We're trying to rehabilitate reefs. That's what coral scientists do. Coral scientists don't make policy to have people not dump their sewage and their silt onto the reefs.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's politics, and
yeah, that's out of our hands.
Yeah.
It's not what we do. So dumping it at our feet isn't the way to do it. But but we probably care more than the average people do.
Well, but like it feels like we're inside of a burning house and we're arguing how we're going to put out the fire, instead of putting out the fire.
That's exactly what's
But
happening.
and then that's like academia is the fire people outside that are actually about to try to put out the fire, and we're inside like no one's putting out the fire, and the fire
And
people
we're also,
outside are like we're trying to fucking do it.
and inside we're also opening, we're opening more cans of gas in the fire.
Yeah.
We're like,
Is this the way to
woo,
do it?
it's a
No.
little
Okay.
cool in here. Let's warm it up.
Yeah. And and we don't see what's going on outside the house. I think that's where academia gets a little ruffled because we don't see what's going on outside the house. And like I said, we're going like, no one's addressing this fire. And they're like, we're out here turning the hydrants on.
Yeah, and stop lighting it on fire. I don't know how to.
And for as much like doom and gloom I felt from Salem's talk, which I think was totally warranted, it's funny when Kevin did his talk the next day, I had the feeling of after Kevin's talk, I was like, oh, it's not what we would all want to be, but I was like, oh, we are doing something about this.
Yeah, somebody is actually doing something
Yeah.
on a scale with resources. Somebody.
Now, is it enough? I don't.
Yeah.
We'll see. But
I mean, we're jumping to Kevin's talk, but in one of his questions, it was, well, what can we do here, to make it happen? And it's like, get $450 million and then let your scientists figure out what to do with it instead of whatever you're doing now.
they're crazy organized too. And I think the cool thing, like your
Crazy
average
organized.
employee there is like a postdoc.
Yeah, no, it's
like
they're
it's
rocking over
not.
there.
Yeah, it's deep waters.
Then we had lunch, and then Zach from Quality Marine gave a talk about the aquaculture stuff that Quality Marine is doing. It's pretty interesting stuff. Glad to have Zach there, and glad to have them sponsor the event.
Yeah.
And then Chris Drury talked about carbonate chemistry. Did you take any notes from this?
I did, but it's like I almost felt like it was the when it was sort of the same thing when we talked to him.
It was kind of like that. He talked about
I would say
precision
it's
and
awesome.
accuracy.
And I was super excited because I got to then like you've met him before, but I got to meet him in person. That was
He's great.
Yeah.
He said, he agrees with us a lot. First of all, he said that you take all the bases and subtract all the acids, and that's your alkalinity, which I thought was a really interesting way to say that. Parameters are a range. Know your range, right? Anybody who's listened to the show will agree with that. Every test result is wrong, he says. But the question is, how wrong is it, and how do you know? That's how you can make decisions. And he said really high pH isn't helpful because you can get abiotic precipitation instead of useful pH. So there's an upper limit. Above 8.6 probably doesn't make much sense. And the rush to get to 8.6 probably isn't that as useful as people think.
Another cool thing I remember from his talk is that like marine sanctuary or lab or whatever you want to call it, that little island that's off of Hawaii, that's where they filmed Gilligan's Island.
Yeah. That's where Chris
that
works.
was cool as hell.
It's cool as hell. Chris.
Yeah.
Chris is a cool motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
Then we had Craig Bingman.
Yep.
Oh my God, Bingman. He was talking about chemistry again, and and we've talked about what he's talked about too. It was good to hear it again from him.
Yeah.
He talked about units and how units suck, and he is not going to convert. And
he's such a unit warrior.
Yeah, and he said, well, the solutions now, this is so great. The solution to your unit issue, if you don't know what someone's talking about, is you just ask AI.
Yeah.
That's what it's for. So if I tell you these units, you say convert it into the units I understand, and AI will do that for you. And it's like, oh, that is a good use of it.
That is a good use of it. Yeah. Yeah, because then he was talking in micromoles, and that I never that goes way over my head.
Well, we just need to convert it into something that your head recognizes already.
Yeah, exactly.
And he had gone through and he had AI redo some of his alkalinity calcium boxes, if you're what to do if it's high alkalinity but low pH, and so that's kind of interesting. He's going to do more of that stuff, and I'm sure we'll hear about it. And then we had Sanjay, and he talked about how corals interact with light, mama, photons. No, it was a good talk. I just don't know what he said because I was probably exhausted at that point.
That did get, and that's my own fault. That did get a little hard because you're sitting in that room for a while. I haven't partied till 3 in the morning. I can't.
Right. And we
I
also
can
had that
never.
panel. So I've got some ideas for next year. We'll take 5-minute breaks. And it'll be
We'll
like,
take a nap, a reef
well,
nap.
first of all, something got screwed up and there was no coffee. But it's like,
Oh,
oh, here's
wait. For a lot of the time, they had coffee outside of the
on the
room.
first day it got screwed up. So I don't know what happened. But it'd be like, okay, everyone take a break. We're taking 10 minutes, go to the bathroom, fucking wet your head, get a coffee and come back and sit down because this is what we're here for.
Yeah.
So we'll help with that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we had dinner, and then we had a party, and then we went
Was that the
back.
one we were on the balcony overlooking the bay there? Was that little mixer? I think that was the first day.
That was Saturday. That was Friday night.
Okay.
Saturday night we had dinner in that big room, and there was the band.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's always so, man, those are so fun because, and this is what, I don't know if everyone does this, but I always see tables. I see, I have so many friends at all the tables, and I'll literally, like, whenever there's a breaking point in the conversation, I'll just like go to another table and
Yeah.
you can have so many fucking great conversations. It's insane.
It was so great because when I was going to sit down, it was like I would be happy to sit with any of
Any
these people.
fucking table.
I
Yeah.
don't care. So wherever there was, there was only one meal. I think that there were like 4 of us and we found a table. But other than that, it was all splitting up and just going wherever. And it was great. And then some of us went to sleep and some of us didn't.
I did
And
not.
then the next morning, Rich Ross gave a talk about jizz. He sucks.
Yeah.
Was the talk useful? Was it informational?
No, it's good. It was
thought-
good. I always like, everyone always, everyone always freaks out because I know you're going to be like dismissive of yourself, but it's like crazy that you did this shit. You did shit
Oh.
in your house that, like, like I said, these people in universities are like taking notes on what you did. That's something.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I like that talk. I think I was able to explain all of it in a much easier way. And I think if there was an upshot for the talk, and also I love that there's debate over that. There was a slide that said sovereign spelled incorrectly, and it was part of a series of jokes. And I said, I don't know why this is here. I'm sure it was.
I don't know what
joke.
that means.
I'm sure it was a joke that made sense at one point, but I don't know what it is. And then there's been debate of whether I did that on purpose or not.
Yeah.
And I cannot answer that question for anybody.
It was misspelled, correct?
It was absolutely misspelled.
Okay, because I'm a good speller, but I was
Oh.
tired, but I was looking and I was like, that's not right.
Right. But the upshot of the talk is don't think of the whole process of spawning. Think of it in chunks and phases. And the first phase everyone can do right now is set your tank up with a spawning cycle and seeing if you get a spawn. Fuck the idea of trying to raise the spawn. Just see if you can make it happen. Because that's the coolest part.
Yeah.
And anybody can do that now with a simple controller. And then I talked about more stuff. Then Nikki Fogarty talked about how they're doing research and for conservation. I've got a picture of Corey Enerking because he's my friend.
She was the one, Nicole Fogarty. She
Yeah.
was on. I was blown away by her her talk. She was one of the ones where I was like, damn, that lady's like straight like professional speaker. Because
Yeah,
she was putting in great humor. She even took a little poke at Salem. Like it was all in good fun. And
Yeah.
she was like really commanded her.
Yeah, she knows what she's talking about, and they're doing a whole bunch of research, and some of it is gonna come back to the hobby, I would think.
Yeah.
But it's all fucked up. Oh, I guess she said that it's all fucked up, and the reefs are gonna look different, but we got to try.
Yeah.
Right, it was what we were saying about coral sciences. Then we had Dr. Kevin Erickson, the 2025 Aquarist of the Year.
Yeah.
My note says Kevin is a golden god doing the stuff that might actually matter.
Yep.
And
I've
then,
heard Kevin talk many times now, and and man, okay, if you go to one of these events and you see Kevin Erickson talk about Ames, like, obviously he knows speaking publicly, that's what he does. But from the second the race starts to the end of his talk, we were laughing about it because the amount of data that he drops when he's talking, it's like someone turned a fire hose on and you're trying to drink out of it. But my mind, since I'm hyper, my mind was able to stay apace with him. But he is dropping facts and figures. He's not pausing or saying, it's a constant stream of talking. It's impressive.
yeah,
He's
and it's all good. And the scale of what they're doing. So
huge.
they want to seed the reef. So they've developed transportation things for baby corals.
Like
And
a,
and I guess we're not supposed to talk about because it's not public yet. But
yeah.
the way they're doing it is freaking genius. And the idea is that they can stack them so they can just automatically have a boat drone or drone boat go out and just shoot them out. Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
and
boom,
that's what
boom.
they're talking about, doing this autonomous.
Yeah,
And
because
they even use AI to like look at the reef and see where stuff needs to be dropped. And it's
yeah,
crazy. I mean, they're on the bleeding edge.
and they're going to have all kinds of papers coming out. They're incredible. It's going to make spawning so much easier for people who want to do it. And the whole idea is it's got to be at this unbelievable scale if it's going to make a difference. It's got
It
to
sort of makes
be.
me sad. I know the United States is probably doing some things, but I wish we could either, the United States, like our tax money, could either pitch in with Ames or we make our own thing like that.
Well, the thing that'll happen is Ames will publish all this stuff and then we can do it.
Uh-huh.
So, and that's coming. So the question is, will we do it? And of course, the problem is, if the reefs are fucked up, coral's not growing there, why would we put more baby corals there? They
Yeah.
may not grow there anyway. So there's some interesting stuff there, but doing it at scale, where Australia is trying to clean everything up. So all the corals have to deal with is the stuff Australia can't control, which is basically the climate. But then they can go in and they can plant 50 million fucking babies in an area. And in 3 years that can recover. So it's
Yeah.
incredible. Joe, Joe Yellow talked about his battle with them,
Yeah.
a white bug that was killing all of his corals. So
It's funny what he was talking about, that movie. At first I was watching that, I was like, what in the hell is Joe on?
yeah,
But I remembered when I was a little kid, I adored it was either the late 70s or early 80s version of that with those giant ants.
oh,
That was
such great
like my
movies.
favorite movie.
Such great movies.
Yeah.
So he gives some really good information in there about how he fought them. And then, I want to say again, his tank is 3 years old now, and it's unfucking believable.
Yeah.
I got to swim in the tank at
Oh,
Long
you
Island
did?
Aquarium. I did.
Man, that's crazy because I know he doesn't like really let people in there.
There's been more people on the moon than have been in Joe's tank.
Inside of the tank. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Because it's huge, but still you could
Yeah.
knock into something.
I was like, if I break shit, I'm never going to live this down. So
You know what's funny? That's sort of what I felt the first time I went to your house and I was like going to start moving the magnet and I was like, I better not touch shit.
Don't touch the fucking magnet.
Yeah.
And in his tank, the corals are, 3 or 4 feet around.
Yeah.
The Bally Slimers,
Yeah.
3 feet tall and 4 feet around. It's just unbelievable. It's flow, plus Joe being awesome, but it's flow. So I'm sure he'll give that talk again. Go see it. It's what he's done is amazing. And then Julian gave a talk about little bitty organisms, really.
Well, wait, it says Sarah Stevens.
Oh God, I didn't write Sarah's name down. She's gonna kill me.
You're welcome, Sarah. I got your back.
Thank you. Sarah gave a talk about diseases and corals and what to do about them.
Yeah.
Very, very useful talk.
Yeah.
Actually, I got something from watching Sarah. This magic sculpt.
Oh, that's what it would, to try to get it like on the disease.
It's just an epoxy.
Yeah.
And I want to try it out because it looks a little bit easier to use than like the tube of epoxy or the roll of epoxy you get. And
Do
I need
people do stuff like embed a medication in that and then push it on?
they do that for stuff like stony coral tissue loss disease.
Okay.
I'm just going to use it to snuffle out algae,
Yeah.
uh, and Mahanos and green star polyps and things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, Sarah's talk is great. I saw it a couple years ago, and Sarah's great. We're going to have Sarah on the show. Then we had Julian. Julian was the interesting one because he talked a whole lot about Forrest Rower, who Chris Maupin turned me on to a decade ago. And Forrest is pretty interesting because, he talks about chemical warfare between algae and coral. And the main thing that I took away from him when I looked at it before was that, no, the proximity of your algae to your coral is bad. If it's close, the algae is going to win. But having, algae somewhere else in the system is fine.
It's probably real potent close up and just gets diluted. I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that called allelopathy?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's now working on, Julian talked to Forrest about a lot. He's talking about oxygen to help suppress heterotrophic bacteria. So you got the bacteria you want growing. That's a note that I wrote for me. Make your tank attractive to phages because phages do good things. Not all little things are bad. You want the good little things. So what do you do? What do you do? And it's interesting because, maybe we'll have Forrest come out next year. But the other interesting thing is a lot in the academic community squint at Forrest a whole lot. So it'd be
Because
interesting.
what he says is controversial.
Yeah, because they don't, that's, at this edge of science, a lot of scientists squint at each other. Somebody said that, the coral larvae, care about the color of what they settle on.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sometimes they don't. It's not often repeatable. And it also doesn't matter. So it's interesting, but who cares? Because they'll settle on anything anyway. So is that a thing you should tell hobbyists? Hobbyists grab onto that.
Yeah.
And go make everything red. It's like, it doesn't matter. So there's a lot of discussion at the bleeding edge of this kind of academia chemistry. Do they agree or do they not agree? So it's really interesting. It's really interesting. That's what do you got to say about that?
Yeah, like the babies generally look for CCA, like frustose coralline algae, to land on. And I guess the question is like, is that algae putting something out, or like do the babies see the color, like you said?
No, it's more the chemical cue is primary. But what about you remember anything else from Julian's talk?
There was freaky. It was, I was tired, but it was like he was talking about those phages, and that
Yeah.
like blew me away. I was like, what the crap? And listening to so many of these talks, it feels like, I don't know. I guess as hobbyists, like we want, like, man, someone needs to bottle that so I can use it for the power of good. But like you said, this shit's like bleeding edge, and it's like we can learn about it, but it's like we're not. We might be learning about things that hobbyists might be doing 10 years from now.
Yeah, so it's interesting. There's a lot of what we call mind story, which is not a put down. It makes sense on paper, but do we know if it works at all in our tanks
And
or makes it different?
it's a little crazy when the mind story's coming from someone with a PhD. That makes me pause. I'm like,
Yeah, but it still needs to be proven out in our
yeah,
aquariums. And it also needs to show that it matters in our aquariums, which is the main thing. So yeah, there's a lot of, bacterias that seem to make sense in the wild, and this is where the difference, but it's got to be shown to make a difference in our tanks. And this is where the disconnect often comes between hobbyists and not. The Skeptical Reef Keeping series tried to hit this head on. Is that true, or did someone just tell it to you? Right.
yeah.
So here's this stuff you're supposed to add, and I think it makes my tank look better.
And pardon my ignorance.
Is that bullshit or not?
Yeah. And pardon my ignorance, but I remember from school, the word phage, but it seemed like are they related, closely related to viruses?
Uh-huh.
that's what was like blowing me away is that I guess, you know, again, I'm not from academia, but Julian was basically saying that there's like every time I think of virus, like a virus is bad,
It's a
you know,
bacteriophage,
bacteriophage.
and they
But
attack bacteria.
yeah,
So they, if you get the right ones, they're great because they attack the shit you don't like.
like wouldn't it be crazy? I guess people are already trying to mess, but not that specifically, but like you get cyanobacteria. So you would put like bacteriophages in there to,
Yeah, well, a phage is a virus that infects bacteria.
yeah, like so you wouldn't have to put weird like erythromycin or whatever weird like that. You would just get
Yeah.
bacteria that attack bacteria.
If you got if you got the right ones. So there's a lot of interesting stuff coming down the pipe.
Thi- Maybe this is cynical, but like I always look at our own, like our the money making part of our hobby because they get a hold of like half done information like that, and they act like scientists said this is bacteriophages, so now we have bacteriophages in a bottle,
Right.
and
That's
it's
the
like
mind story.
trying to make money real quick, and it's
Right.
like
Yeah. No one would try to make money with crap in a bottle. No,
never,
no.
never, who would do that?
Um, and you know, that's a big way to make money, but you know, and I hope it works. We always want it to work, but showing it works takes a rigor that most hobbyists ignore, and that people selling stuff also often ignore because it's very hard to show efficacy.
But that's what was also fun about all these talks is a lot of it was like on the bleeding edge of all the stuff, and also too it wasn't everyone's same old talk.
Right. Right. So and that was, we got some ideas for next year. We, you know, the interesting thing is, how do we do a practical talk that 50% of this audience isn't already going, yeah, duh, you know? So uh, we're already thinking about what to do. Hopefully next year is happening. We have ideas, and
One of
we'll
these
get more
days,
ideas.
one of these days, and I think I know someone, but one of these days I want to talk at a reef retreat. Maybe something about like plumbing or so, you know, whatever.
Well, we definitely want some insight into the maintenance world. Um, I know 3 people who have been fucked up by their tanks in 3 different ways. And I want them to do one talk, and they'll do 10 minutes each of what happened to them.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to think of new ways to get more information out there, but information people want.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm excited. And then we went on the cruise,
Yeah.
and I talked a bunch to Eric Bornman.
Yeah.
Eric fucking Bornman came to the
Yeah.
show.
Okay, wait. I didn't know if we were going to talk about him or not, but so Todd Kunkel had told me beforehand because Eric is from my neck of the woods, and I met him like Jesus Christ, like 20 something years ago. Um, and he said, "Hey, Eric's going to be there," and I was like, "Holy shit!" And so I have Eric's book,
Yeah.
and I brought that damn book in my luggage, but the timing just so happened when I had already been talking to this dude and he didn't have his lanyard on, and for whatever reason we didn't go, "Hi, my name's Ben. Hi, my name's Eric." A guy was talking, he was talking about something interesting. And like I said, I met Eric, but it was like 20 something years ago. And then when I saw Eric right before the cruise, and he was leaving like after the cruise, but so I went to go up to this guy and say, "By the way, my name's Ben. That was great talking to you earlier." And then he had his lanyard on, and I was like, "Fucking Eric Borneman." And I was like, "Shit, I brought the book, but the bus was leaving, and the book was," and so I was gonna get him to sign it,
Yeah,
but
you
that
need a
was crazy.
backpack.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy meeting him.
You know, and Bob Stark was there, and
Yeah,
Boomer was there,
yeah,
and John Grape was there, and Joe Coral was there, and uh, um, I'm forgetting Joe Berger was there.
yeah.
It's just like, it was so cool
It was like
for
a
all
who's
these
who.
people.
Yeah,
It was so great. Joe Berger is all excited about making a central body for the hobby, so hopefully he'll do some work about that. And
yeah.
uh and then we came back, and then we hung out again, and then everyone went their ways the next morning or that night.
Yep.
Pretty
Yep.
great. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean I don't want to beat a dead horse, and I certainly don't want anyone to think that I'm talking it up for any other reason that I had a damn good time. like I said, I went to it a little blind because I knew that Richard was like part of the structure, but I didn't bug him about it. And I wasn't like, hey, tell me what's going on. And I was like a little vague in exactly what it was. I thought it was fun that way. But I feel like I had high expectations of what I wanted it to be and wasn't sure if it was going to match up to that, but it exceeded it. And I'm like addicted to it now. I know there's going to be all these complexities of everyone wants to go now and there's only limited size, but I'm telling you, when this comes up next year, if you're listening or watching this, like you're going to want to be there and we're going to want you to be there. So
Yeah,
there was tons of beefers there.
There was like 30 beefers there. It was
Yeah, like
fabulous.
like a huge percentage of the people there were beefers.
It was great. It was so great. Beefers are such great people. The community, the feel of our Discord is spread into Reef Retreat, and it was just great.
Yeah,
just great. So thank you for all the support.
it was super rad, and I can't wait for it to happen again. And it can only get better from here.
Yeah. So there we go. So look forward to that. Hopefully it'll happen next year. We need to thank our sponsors of Reef Beef, which would be Champion Lighting and Supply,
PolypLab,
and saltwateraquarium.com. And I'll leave you with this. Jump, motherfucker, jump, motherfucker, jump. Jump, motherfucker, jump, motherfucker, jump. Have a good night. This episode of Reef Beef was hosted by Rich Ross and Ben Johnson. Produced by Richard Ross and Snowman. Assistant produced by Snowflake. Directed and edited by Snowman. Thanks to our Prime and Gold level beefers, Joe's Coral Reef and Farhad, Ben J, Alfie, Bay Area Reefers, Hannah, Francois C, Brittany, Scott C, James B, Jim W, John W, Adam S, and Robert S.
Oh, that's a beautiful shirt.
Well, save all this for the show, you dumb shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Welcome in.
Welcome.
Don't ever do that again.
Don't ever welcome anybody in.
No, I hate that phrase, welcome in.
Say,
It makes me
welcome.
fucking crazy.
Welcome in. I'm learning show
everyone
business.
says it now, and it's just like, welcome to Costco, I love you. It's the same thing.
Intelligence, AI.
Oh, thanks, AI. Did we trigger AI?
Alexa, hush.
Or was this the beginning of the end?
I sure hope so. I don't know why it did that, but that
Here
was
comes
pretty
the
interesting.
Terminator robots. Yeah.
So I was thinking we should do, instead of, we should do coral affirmations. This is something you play for your corals.
Yeah.
While you're away from the house.
Like Jack Handy, like you're good enough. You're
yeah, anything like that,
And gosh darn it, people like you.
Yeah. So if we do that for a few minutes,
yeah,
we'll cut that into an hour-long thing with music.
Okay.
You can do it, Coral. You can grow.
Your holobiont is healthy right now.
You are getting so much good light right now.
There's so much bicarbonates and just ready for you to build glorious skeleton.
Spread those little polyps and feed.
That phosphate's not too bad, except for in Richard's tank, but it doesn't matter because you're still laying down good skeleton.
Oh, feel the water as it flows around you, bringing you oxygen and taking away waste.
It's so great that yellow tang just pooped on you because you used that poop to grow.
You're such an idiot.
It's true.
Excellent. The end.